Orcs appear particularly disgusting because their coloration, brown or brownish-green with a bluish sheen, highlights their pinkish snouts and ears. Their bristly hair is dark brown or black, sometimes with tan patches. Even their armor tends to be unattractive, dirty, and often a bit rusty. Orcs favor unpleasant colors in general. Their garments are in tribal colors, as are shield devices or trim. Typical colors are blood red, rust red, mustard yellow, yellow-green, moss green, greenish purple, and blackish brown. Orcs are cruel and hate living things in general, but they particularly hate elves and will always attack them in preference to other creatures. They take slaves for work, food and entertainment, torture, etc., but not elves, whom they kill immediately. Orc tribes are fiercely competitive, and when they meet it is likely that they will fight each other unless a strong leader, such as a wizard, evil priest, evil lord, with sufficient force behind him is on hand to control the orcs. Being bullies, the stronger will always intimidate and dominate the weaker. If goblins are near, for example, and the orcs are strong enough, they will happily bully them. Orcs dwell in places where sunlight is dim or non-existent, for they hate the light.
Orcs are a species of aggressive mammalian carnivores that band together in tribes and survive by hunting and raiding. Orcs believe that in order to survive they must expand their territory, and so they are constantly involved in wars against many enemies: humans, elves, dwarves, goblins, and other orc tribes. Orcs vary widely in appearance, as they frequently crossbreed with other species. In general, they resemble primitive humans with grey-green skin covered with coarse hair. Orcs have a slightly stooped posture, a low jutting forehead, and a snout instead of a nose, though comparisons between this facial feature and those of pigs are exaggerated and perhaps unfair. Orcs have well-developed canine teeth for eating meat, and short pointed ears that resemble those of a wolf. Orcish snouts and ears have a slightly pink tinge. Their eyes are human, with a reddish tint that sometimes makes them appear to glow red when they reflect dim light sources in near darkness.
Orcs look like primitive humans with grey skin and coarse hair, which is usually black. They have lupine ears and reddish eyes. They have a stooped posture, low forehead, and a pig-like face with prominent lower canines that resemble boars' tusks. Their equipment is dirty and unkempt. Orcs prefer wearing vivid colors that many humans would consider unpleasant, such as blood red, mustard yellow, yellow-green, and deep purple. Orcs are aggressive humanoids that raid, pillage, and battle other creatures. They have a hatred of elves and dwarves that began generations ago, and often kill such creatures on sight. When not actually fighting other creatures, orcs are usually planning raids or practicing their fighting skills.
Orcs worship Grumsh, the one-eyed god of slaughter, and are savage, bloodthirsty marauders. They plague the civilized races of the world and also fight among themselves for scraps of food and treasure. They love close combat and plunge furiously into the thick of battle, giving no thought to retreat or surrender. Orcs often fight alongside ogres, and they can be coerced or bullied into serving any dark overlord or wicked monster powerful enough to command their obedience.
Orcs are savage raiders and pillagers with stooped postures, low foreheads, and piggish faces with prominent lower canines that resemble tusks. Orcs worship Grumsh, the mightiest of the orc deities and their creator. Such was the role of the orcs, he proclaimed, to take and destroy all that the other races would deny them. To this day, the orcs wage an endless war on humans, elves, dwarves, and other folk. Orcs hold a particular hatred for elves, and have taken particular joy in slaughtering elves. Orcs gather in tribes that exert their dominance and satisfy their bloodlust by plundering villages, devouring or driving off roaming herds, and slaying any humanoids that stand against them. After savaging a settlement, orcs pick it clean of wealth and items usable in their own lands. They set the remains of villages and camps ablaze, then retreat whence they came, their bloodlust satisfied. Their lust for slaughter demands that orcs dwell always within striking distance of new targets. As such, they seldom settle permanently, instead converting ruins, cavern complexes, and defeated foes' villages into fortified camps and strongholds.
Orcs trace their creation to Grumsh, a powerful god who roamed the wide-open spaces of the material plane. Grumsh equipped his children with gifts to help them wander great plains, vast caverns, and churning seas, and to face the monsters that lurk there. Even when they turn their devotion to other gods, orcs retain Grumsh's gifts: endurance, determination, and the ability to see in darkness. Orcs are, on average, tall and broad. They have gray skin, ears that are sharply pointed, and prominent lower canines that resemble small tusks. Orc youths on some worlds are told about their ancestors' great travels and travails. Inspired by those tales, many of those orcs wonder when Grumsh will call on them to match the heroic deeds of old, and if they will prove worthy of his favor. Other orcs are happy to leave old tales in the past and find their own way.
Big, bad, evil, God!